jump there, running jump. Here's the line here, fellas, come on.
The New Zealand Spearfishing Nationals is held annually, each time at a different location. The 2023 Nationals is based out of Paihia in Northland. Hello and welcome back to the ocean. Diving the Cavalli Islands, real deal with Hagan and Elena. It's going to be an epic day out there. Conditions so far are looking absolutely spectacular. Cannot wait for it. Should be an interesting competition, interesting rules including the burling, but we'll see how we get onto it. This video aims to share how the Nationals went, as well as provide some insight regarding competitive spearfishing. I hope to entertain, educate, and give you the power to make an informed decision regarding your own participation. We will discuss what is the difference between recreational and competitive spearfishing, what does it take to do well in a competition, and where do competitions belong in a sustainable future for our oceans.
Yeah, I was tugging in close and tried to dive the inside of that. Doesn't look like anyone's got there yet.
In competitive spearfishing, divers are given a list of fish. Points are awarded based on the number and weight of fish caught. Divers are limited to a certain area and they're also restrained by time. Before attending a competition, it's important to read the rules and make sure that you have a good understanding of them.
Continue around that way.
Having people dive on a spot before you can have a significant impact to the way the fish behave, especially during competition. The competitive mindset can make people act in strange ways, and the fish certainly pick up on this. It is not unheard of for teams of divers to purposely scare fish out of an area before other divers make it there. For many people, myself included, one of the biggest draws to spearfishing is the freedom. The weightless feeling of drifting in the ocean. Mind so clear. A feeling that you can almost only get here. When you're submerged in the ocean, you're connected in such a way that the present feels everything. No longer living in the past or the future as we do so often in our day-to-day lives. You are there in the moment, living and interacting with what's in front of you. In my own experience, diving in competitions has only served to weaken this experience. When I'm thinking about points, weights of fish, that is all taking me out of the ocean that I love and into a place that doesn't exist. The difference between the way that people dive recreationally and during a competition is very much apparent if you watch them. However, the biggest changes are what goes on inside. The mindset during a competition is completely different to recreational spearfishing. Speaking from personal experience, what has drawn me to recreational spearfishing is my love for the ocean, connecting with this place that means so much to me. What has drawn me to competitive spearfishing has been my ego, wanting to prove myself, wanting to be better than other people. It comes from a dark place. This is my third year competing in the national spearfishing competition. Competing in spearfishing competitions always felt just a little bit wrong to me. However, my ego compelled me to push past these feelings in pursuit of making myself feel good. I hate to admit it, but I had basically come to terms with the fact that I would lay waste to fish this weekend, up until the safety briefing the night before, where the competition director announced that burleying was encouraged. He basically told us that we can shoot and burley anything we want, until somebody else from organisation mentioned the fact that they should at least be legal fish. Burleying is not only allowed, endorsed, but also encouraged. So, given that revelation, my kind of willingness to participate in this event very quickly went down. I think it's terribly unsustainable, and I think it puts a terrible message out for spearfishing as a whole, spearfishing New Zealand. Is this what you want to encourage? Coming from all over the country to shoot and kill fish here. We don't need to make it anymore. The fish list is huge. Enough things are going to die. You don't need people out there killing things extra to burley them up. And that's what I saw when I was out there today. And it just doesn't sit right with me. Day 2 of the Spearfishing Nationals is underway, and what a stunning start to the day. Nice and early, nice and cold, but it's gotta be. The winter days are short, so we gotta get out there nice and quick to make the most of it. Before getting in the water for a swim, we're gonna chuck down some of the marker buoys, marking off the area for the competition. Just like yesterday, it's a huge area to dive. Day 2, we're diving the inside of the Cape Brett Peninsula.
Thanks, mate. Catch you later. Yeah, big Kahiri just here.
Running jump there, running jump. Here's the line here, fellas, come on. Don't let them push you around, Ralph. Don't let them push you around.
Butterfish are a popular species among spearfishermen. They can be found throughout New Zealand, on shallow exposed reefs hiding amongst the kelp, often in swelly areas where they'll be dancing throughout the fronds. Butterfish can be very friendly and only exist within the top part of the water column, making them very sensitive to the pressure of spearfishermen. They do not eat hooks, they're vegetarians, but they'll eat a shaft if you can feed them one. Butterfish have a special place in my heart, being the first fish that I really fell in love with hunting. However, throughout the years, I've seen a significant drop in the populations throughout the areas that I dive. I'm not going to shoot this one. Poroi like to hang out near the bottom, on reef, sand, and weedline areas. Overlooked and not often shot by experienced spearfishermen, they somehow make onto nationals lists most years. My dive buddy Elena and myself are not interested in shooting fish to weigh for this competition. It doesn't align with our personal values, and is not something we want to put our name against. Our goal today is to be extremely selective and go after some of those species that you only find in the upper North Island for Elena to take back down to Wellington. One of the most iconic fish you get up these ways are the pink mau, even more so with this beautiful coloration. So far, the shot is not looking good. I've hit the fish really high and it's not on there great. I know I can't be too forceful with this fish or I risk losing it. This fish is currently on my shooting line. It has a smaller diameter, so has more chance of piercing through the fish's skin. One thing I commonly do in this situation is try and pull the shaft through has less chance of falling out. This time I was too forceful with it. Elena detaches her gun from the short line, looking for the long line. I take her gun off her and decide to take a dive myself. This was entirely wrong decision. I'm not even attached to a float line here. I am in no safe position to be headed back down this deep after this fish. And I knew that at the time. I knew this was stupid, but I was still doing it anyway. I just couldn't allow myself to let go of this fish so easily. I should have had confidence in my buddy's abilities and given her the long line to make a dive. My second shot connects, much to my relief, but it's short-lived. The shaft snags in the rocks. My kicking manages to break it free, but the fish is also lost. Wounding fish hurts me, but I let this feeling control me, and I put myself in a terrible situation because of it. I should have had confidence in my dive buddy Elena and given her the long line to make a dive herself. I should have listened to my own intuition and started surfacing when I knew it was a bad idea. Despite the commotion, there are still pink mau in this area, so after a proper breathe up, I managed to get a better shot into a pink mau. What does it take to do well in a spearfishing competition? Actual diving ability is one thing, but there's plenty of factors that go into it. Is the competition happening in an area that you've dived? Are you familiar with the rules and do you have a plan? It's 6 hours in the water, but the days are a lot longer than that. With all the weigh-ins, trips out on the boats, it seriously does take a lot of endurance, mentally and physically. This video is in no way meant to detract from the achievements of the people who do well in this competition. I have a lot of admiration for the abilities of a lot of people here, and there are some fantastic divers. One day of victory could mean years of hard work prior to. The New Zealand spearfishing scene has some amazing talent. The only objections I have come from an ecological sustainability point of view, which I think is always important to represent.
Effortless fish though.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, there's a few pink mau that have like this black spot on the back. They got like really crazy colours as well. There's a bunch down there, they're pretty deep though. That was at like 22.
Where do spearfishing competitions belong in a sustainable future for our oceans? I believe that the competitive nature of humans is natural, and we shouldn't fight this. The competitive nature of humans has led us to great accomplishments, great inventions, and many of the things that you see around you today. However, I think it's important to manage this and try not let our competitive nature have too much of a toll on the environment. I believe that for many spearfishing competitions, nationals included, the fish list is too long. There's too many fish on there. I believe that the areas dived are too large. Such vast sections of oceans full of divers trying to kill a huge amount of fish. It's not sustainable. And the sustainability aspect is often overlooked. Not even really discussed in fact. Hardly even an afterthought in briefings about spearfishing, which is pretty amazing considering that's such a large part of, I think, why a lot of people do it. I think a lot of us can agree that the fond memories that you have often aren't the fish that you shoot, but the times that you've interacted with people. You get to meet some really cool people at events like this, and those are the things that I think really stick with you. I don't think that we need to kill so many fish to have a good time. Death is a part of life, and spearfishing puts you deeply in touch with this reality. Being able to catch your own food is a forgotten art for the most part, but perhaps more important now than ever. Spearfishing puts you back in your place as a living, breathing, eating, killing, life-creating organism, as opposed to just a consumer. Everything that lives is meant to die, but not in vain. Its energy is not meant to be wasted. Killing fish for pointless reasons, or just to feed your own ego, as opposed to your soul and your body, is a terrible waste of life. Our desire to kill and bring destruction beyond our means is a symptom of our disconnect from nature. You don't see sharks going out trophy hunting.
There's usually like narwhals down below. They're really cute.
Can't bring myself to shoot anymore, but you're welcome to.
No, I kind of feel the same.
During the national spearfishing competition, fish caught by competitors are auctioned off. This is a great way to raise money for charity. However, doing it this way means you never have to really confront the reality of the destruction that you've brought. When you're filleting all the fish that you've killed, when you're taking all that time to process them, it really does sink in. I think that the way Spearfishing Nationals is run has little to no regard for sustainability. It's hardly even mentioned. It's not my organisation and it's not my competition. I can't tell anybody how to run it. But I will say, for now, it's not a competition that I really want to involve myself in. It doesn't align with my personal values. I think at the very least, in briefings, it's worth having some discussion about the environmental impact. Having a member on the committee dedicated to the environmental assessments and making sure that it doesn't get out of hand, I think would be a really good idea. I don't think that burleying as a strategy should be encouraged at all. Day 2 of the New Zealand Spearfishing Nationals is done and dusted. Today was another stunner, amazing diving conditions, amazing fish, and we managed to get on to a few really nice special fish. However, none of them are going to be coming to this. When the competition so clearly and enthusiastically endorses burleying of fish, I just can't participate in that really. It's just so wrong to me. Yesterday, over 100 fish, 100 kilos of fish was removed from the oceans out of the Cavallis, let alone all the stuff that was burleyed up to get those fish.